What's up YouTube? Kyle here, back for our first video in this Security Plus 601 series. Over the next several weeks I'm going to be covering the various study topics for this exam. I'm looking to upload new content a few times a week. At least that's the plan so far. We have a lot to cover here today, so let's get started. Today we are going to be talking about malware. So what is malware? Well, malware, short for malicious software, is a blanket term used for viruses, worms, and trojans, or any other harmful computer program hackers use to wreak havoc and gain access to sensitive information. In today's video, we are going to cover a ton of different types of malware. Then, once we've got all of them covered, we are going to touch on IOCs, or indicators of compromise. First up on the list is the standard virus. A virus is a piece of computer code that will insert itself within the code of another standalone program. Then it forces that program to take malicious action and spread itself. Pure computer viruses are uncommon today. That's a good thing though. Viruses are the only type of malware that infects other files, and this makes them particularly hard to clean up because the malware must be executed from the legitimate program. Some of the best antivirus programs will struggle doing it correctly, and in many, if not most, cases will simply quarantine or just delete the infected files instead. Another type of virus that you may encounter on the exam is the armored virus. This is a type of virus that has been designed to thwart any attempts by an analyst from examining its code by using various methods such as tracing or disassembling or reverse engineering difficult. An armored virus may also protect itself from antivirus programs, which will make it difficult to detect. Second up on our list of malware is worms. Worms have been around even longer than computer viruses, all the way back to mainframe days. In the 1990s, the use of emails made the worm a popular type of malware. One person would open a wormed email and the entire company would be infected in short order. The distinctive trait of the computer worm is that it's self-replicating. This is very important to remember. What makes an effective worm so devastating is its ability to spread without end-user interaction. Viruses, by contrast, require that an end user at least kick it off before it can try to infect other files. Worms will exploit other file programs to do their dirty work for them. A good example of a worm in action was the well-known SQL Slammer. This worm used a patch vulnerability in Microsoft SQL to bring about buffer overflows on nearly every unpatched SQL server connected to the internet in about 10 minutes, which is a very, very short time. Crypto malware and ransomware. So these two types of malware are similar. They both essentially involve encrypting their target computers and then will leave them unusable or ask for some sort of payment to unlock them. It's important to understand the difference here though. Ransomware will require that someone pay the ransom, while crypto malware can operate indefinitely on a system, benefiting the criminal activity before the victim can do anything, and there is a strong possibility that it may never even be noticed. Moving on. Trojans. Ah, yes. The famous Trojan horse from the Greek stories of the invasion of the city of Troy. So, a Trojan horse is a type of malware that is often disguised as a legitimate software. Trojans can be employed by cyber thieves or hackers trying to gain access to a user's system. Users are typically tricked by some form of social engineering into loading or executing the Trojan onto their system. Once activated, the Trojan can enable cyber criminals to spy on you, steal your sensitive data, and gain backdoor access to your system. Before we move on, for you as the listener, it will be important for you to understand the subtle differences amongst the different types of malware discussed so far. Moving into rootkits. What is a rootkit? Well, a rootkit are a type of malware that are designed so that they can remain hidden on your computer. Rootkits operate near or within the kernel of the operating system, which means that they have low-level access to instructions to initiate commands to the computer. Just like worms, rootkits have been around for a long time. These are very dangerous because they have the ability to do anything that the operating system can do. Rootkits can contain a number of tools, ranging from programs that allow hackers to steal your passwords to modules that make it easy for them to steal your credit card or online banking information. Rootkits can also give hackers the ability to subvert or disable security software and track the keys you tap on your keyboard, making it easy for criminals to steal your personal information. One of the most famous and dangerous rootkits in history was Stuxnet. It targeted the Iranian nuclear facilities and was created by the US and Israel governments, who ended up losing control of it in the end. Speaking of tracking your key taps, keyloggers. Keyloggers are the action of recording the keys struck on a keyboard. typically covertly, so that the person using the keyboard is unaware that their actions are being monitored. Data can be retrieved by the person operating the keylogging program. Keyloggers are dangerous to a target computer because the person does not know it's running a keylogger, and the keystrokes being collected are being collected by someone else. Overall, these are great for stealing passwords. Personally, this is a truly annoying piece of malware to come across. Adware, or advertising supported software, is a software that displays unwanted advertisements on your computer. Adware programs will tend to serve you pop-up ads, change your browser's homepage, add spyware, or just bombard your device with advertisements. How do you get adware? There are two main types by which you can contract adware on your system or device. One being you downloaded a program that contains the adware, usually freeware or some sort of shareware, and it quietly installs without your knowledge. The second would be what is called a bad website. These websites can be infected with adware, which take advantage of the vulnerability in your web browser to deliver a drive-by download. You're going to know if you have adware on your machine by simply having a slower running machine, bombarded with ads, constant browser crashes, and your browser homepage will most likely change. Very annoying. So in the last slide, I mentioned a term you may not have recognized yet, but the term was spyware. Spyware is usually a broad category of malware designed to secretly observe activity on your device and send those observations to a person called a snooper. Spyware can take a number of forms, such as adware, tracking cookies, and Trojans. The snooper can be used to track your activity online, and that information can then be sold to marketers. Spyware can also be used to steal personal information, such as account passwords and credit card numbers, which can result in identity theft, which every year is an issue that is constantly on the rise. Rats. No, not the ones living in your wall, but remote access Trojans. A rat is a type of malware that's very similar to legitimate remote access programs like TeamViewer or Cisco WebEx. The main difference, of course, is that these malicious rats are installed on a computer without a user's knowledge. Most legitimate remote access programs are made for tech support and file sharing purposes, while rats are made for spying on, hijacking, or even destroying the computer. Like most malware, rats will piggyback on legitimate-looking files. Hackers can attach a rat to a document in an email or within a large software package like a video game. Advertisements and nefarious web pages can also contain remote access Trojans. However, most browsers will prevent these automatic downloads from websites, or they will just notify you when the site is unsafe. These can be very dangerous because they can record or take snapshots of your computer screen, or even worse, they can use your webcam against you. Getting close to the end here, let's speed through these next three types of malware. First up is a bot. Bots are defined as self-propagating malware that will infect its host and connect back to a central server. The server functions as a command and control center for a botnet, or a network of compromised computer and similar devices. Malicious bots have the worm-like ability where they can self-replicate. One of the many unfortunate things about malicious bots is that they can easily go unnoticed. Up next, we have the logic bomb. So a logic bomb is a piece of often malicious code that is intentionally inserted into software. It is activated upon the host network only when certain conditions are met, though. A good example of a logic bomb would be some disgruntled developers have a way of going out partying when they leave or they're terminated from a work setting. They will insert logic bombs into a company system that, upon certain events or a certain time, they will execute malicious functions such as file deletions. Lastly is backdoors. A backdoor refers to any method by which an authorized or unauthorized user are able to get around normal security measures and gain high-level user access, like root access on a computer system, a network, or even a software application. Keep in mind that backdoors can also be installed by software or hardware makers as a deliberate means of gaining access to their own technology. Backdoors of the non-criminal variety are useful for helping customers who are hopelessly locked out of their devices or for troubleshooting and resolving software issues. But if that door is open for the good people, it is also open for the bad people. Simple as that. So now that we've covered some malware types, let's jump into what IOCs are. Indicators of compromise are pieces of forensic data, such as data found in a system log entry or a file, that will identify potentially malicious activity on a system or network. Indicators of compromise will aid information security and IT professionals in detecting data breaches, malware infections, or other threat activity. By monitoring indicators of compromise, organizations can detect and act quickly to prevent breaches from occurring, or limit the damages by stopping attacks in the early stages. Some common IOCs to watch are listed below: unusual outbound traffic, anomalies for a privileged user account, increase in account lockouts or password changes, unusual DNS requests, unexpected patching, and suspicious file system changes on a machine or server. IOCs also have their own internal set of language, protocols, and tools. Two of them on the exam are known as Open IOC and Stick/Taxi. Well, this should wrap up lesson 1. I hope you've enjoyed the first lecture. Please don't forget to hammer that like button and subscribe for more content. Have a great rest of your day, and remember, be nice to each other.